Hi everybody, I'm Carmen Alana Tibbetts and I am coming to you from the Agoja Art Studio. I'm going to combine sessions 7 and 8 because I'm feeling a little bit under the weather these days. We have a lot of things blooming and I've got some really bad allergies. So you're going to get all the important content with a little less of me talking, which is probably a good thing because I tend to go on and on and on. So we have two topics this evening. One of them is the value of mindless tasks, and the other one is putting ideas together to make something more complex. So the first topic is an interesting one because there's a lot of discussion out there in the literature about mindless tasks or doing something when you're in a particular state of mind. So I would argue that there isn't actually something called a mindless task. What people are talking about when you read about this sort of thing is like doodling, right? So you're sitting there in a meeting, you're talking to somebody on the phone, and you're just doodling away. You're not thinking about what you're drawing, or if you're just writing words or something like that. Your mind is on the task at hand. You're listening to the person speaking at the front of the room. You're listening to the person speaking to you on the phone, but at the same time, part of your brain is doing something else. Now, this is actually a very important thing for your brain to do, and it's one of the things that I'm trying to get you to do with some of these exercises, is that it's a way of altering your focus. You can do a lot of different things at once, and one of the things with trying to foster your creativity is get to that point where you're not actively thinking about what you are doing with your hands. So one of the things when you're doodling is that it is an unconscious activity. You're not thinking about what you want to draw, right? It's like I'm drawing a robot and I need to have so many hands and so many legs and I want the nose right there. That's not what you're doing. You're just kind of, playing with it and seeing where you go. So what we're talking about in some of these previous homework assignments is getting you to that place where instead of just sitting in a meeting, you're sitting down in your chair and you're like, okay, I'm just going to let myself go and just let the mind wander, and then the hand is going to write down whatever comes to mind. So it's a way of relaxing. When you're focusing on something else, part of your mind is relaxed and things come out. What you want to do if you are a creative person is have an outlet for those things that are coming out, and you want to keep all of those things, right? So we've talked about the value of having collections, the value of just doing simple little things, just little lines, little curves. It all has value because all of these little bits can be used to do something else. So I really advocate any kind of person who is in any kind of field that requires ideas. You need to come up with lots of new ideas, to just have a little paper and a little pencil. It could be a notebook. I really do suggest real paper and pencil. Have it in your pocket all the time. Have it in your purse. And whenever something just pops into your mind, you're not actively thinking about it, something just comes to you, write it down. You would be surprised how many things come to you when you're just doing something else, right? If you're walking the dog, if you're mowing the lawn, you're sitting there and you're washing the dishes, or you're knitting, maybe you're just, working away. You're doing one thing, but your mind is allowed to wander somewhere else. That is an incredibly productive time. So it's not a mindless task that you are doing. You're actually letting your brain focus on other things and have a place for it to come out. So what you need to do to foster your creativity is keep all of those things that come out and then use them later for something else. Don't let them go away. Don't let them fade away into the background. And also value those things that come out. So if you're doodling, and you're making little robots or little dogs or just, little squiggles or whatever it is, realize that that is an important activity for you to do and have value for that activity. So keep it, look at it, go back every once in a while. When we talk about having journals or diaries, They don't have to be the kinds of things where, you write down what you did that day or everything that you ate or who you talked to or, who you had a crush on or whatever it was. Those diaries can just be collections of all of the little things that popped into your mind. And the most creative people, the most innovative people out there that are coming up with new businesses and they're creating new machines and software and all kinds of things, these are the people you ask them. When did this come to you? It's like, oh, well, I was mowing the lawn, or I was taking the shower, or I was doing this, that, and the other, and it popped into my head. And they keep those ideas. They write them down. They may not be something that they can work with at that moment, but in the future, that is fodder for another project. So place a value on those things that you do when, we're talking about having some mindless activity. It isn't mindless at all. You are using all of the parts of your brain, and it's very important. So you need to learn how to value all of those things. So the second topic tonight, so this would be the equivalent of session 8, is putting things together into more complex ideas. And I'd like to take a little minute and explain to you what kind of training I had when I was a scientist. I got a PhD, and a lot of people don't know what happens when you get a PhD in the sciences. And then once you have that degree, what do you do when you are a professional scientist? What the doctoral degree in the sciences and a lot of other fields does is it trains you to be a creative thinker. It trains you to come up with ideas. That's what our training is. It isn't to memorize a huge body of knowledge, although we may be learning all kinds of things. The purpose of an advanced degree like that is to give you some breadth of knowledge that you then use as a well that you can draw from to create something new in the future. So I took a few classes, not that many. It took many years to get the degree. I took a few classes and I did individual research, did lots of that, read lots and lots and lots of papers. And we had discussions about things. You go to meetings, you hear about other research projects that people are doing. So you're looking at all of this stuff and you're looking at the experiments that people are doing, the results that they have, right? They're coming up with ideas and they're finding ways to tinker with those ideas and to make something new, to further our knowledge in whatever field it is. So a scientist is a professional idea person, right? So an engineer does a similar sort of thing, and their training is to apply that knowledge to solve particular problems. So people would tell me when I first started doing artwork full time, it's like, oh my gosh, you were a scientist. That's so different from the arts. And I had to explain, no, it's exactly the same thing. An artist does the same thing. You come up with ideas. You think, well, hey, what if? What if I did this? What if I stitched that together? What if I put that color next to that color? What if I glued that onto that canvas? You're coming up with all of these ideas to do something new and interesting, to express yourself, to express your thoughts, your emotions. So you don't know what's going to happen when you start out. You might have a pretty good idea what might happen, but it doesn't always turn out the way that you think. So the arts and the sciences are very, very similar. So what I want you to realize is that when a creative person has an idea, it just doesn't spring into your mind fully formed, this big complex thing. We have to have some breadth of knowledge that we draw from that we can make something new out of. So it might be learning how to use all of the particular materials that you use in your artwork. It might be reading lots and lots of books. If you're a novelist, you have to have some background in literature, right? So you're getting all of this information. You're learning how all of these things are put together. And then you think, well, what if I did this? And you're going to make something new. So the whole point of all of the homework assignments that we were starting out with early, they were very simple. Draw some lines, draw some curves, do a couple little things, add some color here, embellish this or that. And you're like, oh, that's so simple. This is dumb. This is a waste of my time. It isn't, because what you're doing is you're creating the foundation of things that you can draw from later to create something more complex. Artists do this all the time. They have all their sample books, and I showed you mine. You have all these things, and you just sort of look through them, and you're like, oh, well, I could try this and this and this, and I could put that together, and I could add that, and what would happen? So that creativity, making something complex, you have to begin with the simple parts, right? Think about Legos. You have all of these simple little bricks, all of these simple little components, but you give a big bucket of Legos to 10 different people and they're going to create 10 different things, even if those buckets of Legos were the same. So you have to have all of those little pieces to start with. And those little pieces have an incredible amount of value to you as a creative person. Don't discount them. So just a few minutes ago, I was talking about doodling. Don't discount those things because you can use those things to make something different, more interesting, more useful in the future. Okay? So for our homework this time, sort of combine these two topics. And what I'd like you to do is go back from some of the samples from the previous homework assignments and just find a couple things that you like that other people have posted and just get little components from each one and put them together in a few new ways. Make some new drawings. They don't have to be in little boxes. They can be in circles. They could just be not in any shape at all. Just put them together in some new way that you like, or maybe you don't like. We're going to be talking about that in a little bit for the next couple sessions. Just put them together. So you're starting with something that's already there, putting it together in a new way. And then I just want you to sit there for 10, 15 minutes or so and just embellish it. Just doodle away, okay? So just let your mind wander. Don't think about it. Just start with something simple, make it a little more complex, and then just let it go wild and see what happens, okay? So that is our homework for sessions 7 and 8, and I will see you next time for sessions 9 and 10. I'm going to combine those also. So thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.